Whoa, whoa, whoa. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. We're here at Attempts at Governance, episode 177, attempting to govern this amazing Polkadot ecosystem. We want to welcome the whole panel to the show. And boy, oh boy, you can see already, we got a big one. We're back, baby. After about a month of low refs, we are back with a vengeance. I want to welcome everybody to the show, and we're going to slide right in to the state of the treasury, which is looking pretty good this week, everybody. We are on the dot side down a measly 2,208 dot, which is worth about $9,241 at today's market value. And that brings the dot holdings to 20,726,586. As far as the USDC treasury goes, we are up 104,100 USD, but the treasury itself is looking a little slim, especially considering some of the USDC spends we have coming up, which we're going to discuss today. That's sitting at 1,275,868 USDC. As far as USDT goes, looking a little bit better, up 422,597 USD from this time last week, bringing that stockpile to 6,206,185 USDC. That is the state of the treasury, and I'll now throw it over to Funky for the state of the funk.
Thanks so much, Jay. Admittedly, the state of the funk is incredible.
Oh,
Just had awesome experience at the RWA Summit, which was hosted by Centrifuge in an awesome hotel called the William Vale. Really great use of space between having everybody kind of huddle together. They curated, there was over 3,000 applicants, only
wow.
400 people actually got to go to this event. Really great use of the space and just amazing connections and networking that happened, especially from so many people on the TradFi side that are really taking an interest in tokenization, assets, and everything else. I'm remiss, however, in not mentioning that I feel there was a missed opportunity from the Polkadot ecosystem because we didn't have there was really nobody there from other teams that could have been showcasing Polkadot. You know, the Centrifuge is running on our tech stack, and then all the security is made there by Polkadot. I did have my Polkadot socks on, and I tried to show them and flex those a little bit when I could. But next year, I really think that we should have a larger presence to talk about the broader ecosystem with all these people who are showing up for Centrifuge. But otherwise, it was an incredible opportunity, and really think a lot of good's going to come of it.
Awesome stuff. Thank you very much, Funky. Well, yeah, hopefully we can get some more representation events around the world. You know, at the meetup that we hosted last Friday with Talisman and Few and the Coos here in Toronto, we met a fantastic events coordinator and named Reem, and I've turned her on to the request for proposals by the events bounty. So hopefully she can get in there, and hopefully we can grow that list and just get more people involved. But thanks very much, Funky. Nice to have you back. We are going to skip referenda gone by this week because we have Limo on the road. Absolutely tragic, but I think we can forgive it once in a while. Limo, you want to give a quick word about your general well-being? Just say hello to the folks at home. I know you're a popular character on the show.
Yeah, GM, just traveling with Mr. Lol McShiz at the moment,
Yeah,
and didn't have time to do Ref Gone By. Sorry, boys.
all good. Well, safe travels, and thanks for being here anyway. We have a nice show to talk about today. One thing I wanted to highlight is none of the proposals we're talking about today is requesting DOT. How beautiful is that? Everybody requesting USDT and USDC. It does look like, let's see here. We have just about enough USDC to cover the ones we're talking about today, but definitely got to be careful about that treasury. We're going to dive right into the first one. This is, oh, there you are. Treasury proposal for funding the Jamton project, bridging 950 million users to the Polkadot ecosystem. A request for 251,660 USDC. Want to welcome the Jamton team to the show, guys. Welcome to Attempts at Governance.
Hello, everyone. This is Fernando. I'm co-founder and CEO of Curio and one of the contributors to Jamton. Today in the session, our CTO and team are also in the call. So we are very excited to share more about the vision behind the innovation and the roll-up, as well as the potential benefits it can bring, not only to Polkadot, but hopefully also to the pipeline of clients we have in our venture. So with that said, I hand it over to Vladimir.
Okay.
Okay. So since we have some technical issues. So
Molto piacere.
it seems we have some technical issues. So we're very excited to apply for this Polkadot treasury proposal, get some initial assessment into basically what we believe could be infrastructure that helps bring more clients. I see the Vladimir's now back. Okay. Vladimir, I hand it over to you now. You are on mute.
Hi guys, do you hear us?
Yes.
Great. So let's start from the proposal idea that we onboard to the Polkadot 950 million users. What is not going to be happening in one night, of course, but we expect that the start with the Ton Keeper, what is holding today 50 million active users per month, we can start with 50 million onboarding users to the Jamton, what is bring these 50 million directly to the Polkadot ecosystem. So we also think about the Jamton like education platform. So it's the really low level of Web3 in education on the Ton perspective. It's really making Polkadot not accessible to deliver these customers to the Polkadot ecosystem. And with the Jamton, we're planning to onboard with the Telegram mini apps these people and make the education for the Web3 for them. So we create this proposal to supporting our team with the not easy journey. I think we take some risk here for the whole Polkadot community, and nobody doing this today. So just to your understanding, in these 100 million users and on Toncoin and another million users with the top games and so on, we have the competition with the SDK Polygon and SDK from Cosmos. Do you know, I think, the Accelerator team, and do you know, I think, the Polygon itself? And they have the support from the Ton Foundation, and we're working in two ways. We're working to become support from Ton and to become support from the Polkadot, of course. And I think if we, on Kusamarian, you all want that Polkadot SDK win, not the Polygon SDK, not the Cosmos SDK. So, and we're pushing hard the Polkadot SDK to the Ton community on Ton Bootcamp event, on different places with different communities, to basically explain them why the Polkadot is the best SDK, is the best solution in the world to onboarding these users. So just today we become the news that the new airdrop for the couple millions, I don't know how much exactly, users it's called X, and they stack the transaction. So they have around 3,000 transaction TPS, but actually it's much lower. And if you distribute, let's say 1 million, 2 million, or many million users, the tokens, it's shutting down the Ton blockchain. And the Jamton solved this problem. So we're not just talking here about that we're solving some issue with the users or not so much users on the Polkadot. We also solve the problem of Ton ecosystem to grow, to scale the Ton blockchain and bring the new DeFi and new quality, basically, of DeFi to the Ton blockchain. I'm really happy to answer any question about the Jamton proposal or technical solution. We have today the call with Sub Wallet, we in touch with the No Wallet, and we really try to, mix and bring together two from our perspective, best blockchain, but in different areas. From marketing perspective and onboarding, easy onboarding users, it's a ton. And from technology perspective and really high quality of the code and everything about the science, it's a Polkadot. So Fernando, maybe do you want to add something here?
Yes, I think we're behind a very exciting time, one that could bring lots of users. And I think everyone in crypto actually has a Telegram messenger. So the fact that, soon, more users could access some of this infrastructure would make, of course, the ecosystem bigger. So at our end, we want to see growth. We want to see more users. I want to see my friends having dots. And clearly, until now, there has been some sort of complexity topic and so forth. And I feel we're just very close to solve that challenge. I think everyone is aware here about the benefits of Polkadot, and bringing those capabilities to other ecosystems resonates a lot. So hopefully 6 months from now, 1 year from now, we will be talking about how many users, what percentage we have grown Polkadot, and hopefully also our venture. Yeah.
Okay, guys, thanks very much. Big vision, a lot of moving parts. I think there we heard about some of our competition bridging to the TON network. We heard that perhaps the TON network is already reaching its scaling limits, and we can help them with that. Mr. Tommy has a comment or question, sir.
Yeah. Hey.
Hi,
yeah.
Tommy.
Hi. I've been reading through the proposal while I heard you. So the first thing that comes to my mind here is that you add quite a lot of things into the scope here. You have a bridge, you integrate an Oracle, you want to have a DEX, you want to have an order book. So it's quite a lot, right?
But we already have something of this done. So let's say the DEX, it's already live in Telegram, mini apps on TON, in EVM, on Polkadot, in the Kusama network, and so on. But yes, it's a lot.
I think it's important here to understand that we're not starting from scratch. We actually have a lot of effort and work done before we actually approach the treasury.
The first time when we started delivering and development something on the substrate, it was 2019 on DevCon Osaka. So basically, we just, last year launching our Curio pirate chain inside the Kusama chain, and now we become this pirate chain in Polkadot because this is whereas the serious thing happening, it's of course the Polkadot. We play in Kusama, but we want to, become bigger. Yeah. That's why we don't issue any shit coin. We don't have any bullshit. So the only one coin on chain is a stake dot or stake ton, and the restaking and liquid staking and so on.
If I may ask my question, I see that in the proposal you mentioned 3 different milestones.
Or funky.
So what I would think here is that if you see 3 different milestones, it would make sense to basically make it into 3 different proposals. Because this way the community could convince itself that the service is actually delivered. And yeah, when you already have something, it would be interesting. I would be interested to look into it. And I think the main thing here is actually the bridge part, right? So understanding what kind of bridge solution you have in mind would be the most crucial thing here for me.
Okay, we're actually at time there. That's actually pretty good advice. If this ref doesn't turn around, right now we're at 7.5% in favor. Bit of a misunderstood proposal in the beginning. But if this doesn't turn around, breaking it up into smaller milestones is a good idea. We'd love to have the team back on the show to discuss this more. We are at time. I think, Funky, you just poured yourself a huge flask of whiskey, was that? Yeah. So we got to make sure we respect the timer here. But guys, thank you very much for coming on the show, and thanks for approaching this unique opportunity for Polkadot.
Fantastic, pleasure connecting with you all, and thank you for that feedback to the community. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this grows the ecosystem, and hopefully we can celebrate afterwards. Okay.
Awesome, guys. Thank you. We're going to keep this party rolling now with referendum 1229, Polkadot ecosystem branding exposure on Bitcoin.com, 240,000 USDT, and currently sitting at 15.1%, about a third of the way through the decision period. I want to welcome the guys from Bitcoin.com to the show. Welcome to AAG.
Hey Jay, nice to be here. Yeah, let me introduce myself. My name is Corbin Fraser. I'm the CEO of Bitcoin.com. I've been with Bitcoin.com since 2017. So this was way back in the, if you guys have been around for a while, this was during the scaling wars, which were quite fun. Yeah, so Bitcoin.com though, over the last 7 years, we've evolved quite a bit since the scaling wars of Bitcoin versus Bitcoin Cash. We are very much pro multi-chain. We of course support Bitcoin, but we also support Ethereum, Polygon, Avalanche, BNB chain, many more. I think that the reality is a lot of crypto projects are trying to attract users, and we have a lot of organic traffic. We have a level of traffic that I think a lot of large companies have to pay millions of dollars for, and we benefit from this very valuable domain name of Bitcoin.com. Now, we're not using it only to promote BTC. We are using it to promote all of crypto. And we do this by introducing people through news, through markets, through our getting started sections as well. So what we're proposing with referendum 1229 is that we're going to be doing a comprehensive year-long campaign to elevate Polkadot's visibility across Bitcoin.com's platform. So the initiative is aimed to just drive awareness through the educational content, through our newsletters, as well as social media. This aim is to reach millions of users leveraging our top ranking SEO domain, using all of our community, our news, as well as our content creation across podcasts, AMAs, and yeah, we've got a social media account, BTCTN, which has been around, one of the earliest Bitcoin Twitters. It's got over 3 million followers. And we see this as an opportunity to get more people interested and aware of Polkadot. The large majority of people coming to Bitcoin.com are looking for Bitcoin, and they tend to be skewed more newer in their user journey to crypto. So they're very much not like us. They're a little bit more noob, but they are looking for exposure to more than just Bitcoin. And we see that in a lot of our data. So I think for us, it's about trying to showcase different communities to these users. Reality is we can talk all about the cool things that we're building, but when you talk to the average Joe Schmo off the street who has never touched anything crypto, they often start in Bitcoin and then graduate from there into other assets. So we see this as like a unique opportunity for Polkadot to introduce its community, its ecosystem, its DAO, some of the cool projects that are being built there, and showcase them to our users who are, yeah, like I said, skew a little bit more newer. So there's some key deliverables here within our proposal, which includes 7 lifetime educational articles on the Bitcoin.com Learning Center. Again, we do millions of visits here. This is also integrated in our self-custody wallet app as well, so people can get access to that there. 10 dedicated Twitter threads on the Polkadot ecosystem via X, where again, we have 3 million followers, 9 newsletter inclusions for 3 million subscribers, 6 Polkadot podcast series and interviews. So this is an opportunity to get Polkadot people, developers, whether they're from the DAO or whether they're from within the DAO that are just contributors or other projects being built on Polkadot that the DAO wants to highlight. We would be able to focus on interviewing and focusing on teaching our users and our ecosystem about those projects and their founders and what they're building and what problems they're solving. And then 10 Polkadot branded spotlight stories on Bitcoin.com news. Our news website, it's been around since 2015. We're one of the top tier crypto news websites. We focus on everything from Bitcoin to economics to regulations in different countries to different Web3 projects. We've been focusing on a lot of content recently in Asia, specifically in the Web3 space related to Ethereum, Solana, and things like that. So we are looking to highlight projects such as Akala, Moonbeam, Mastar, and other things like that. So personally, just I guess anecdotally, I've got into Polkadot back in 2021, was involved in the Hydra DX raise and the liquidity balancer pool that they did, which I think is now called Hydro. Played a little bit with some Kusama and things like that, and some of the just early projects on that stuff. I've been kind of focusing a little bit more on the EVM side, so I've been watching really closely on the Moonbeam side of things, but very much a fan of what Polkadot's doing. I like what this brings to the whole ecosystem in terms of crypto, and I think there's some really cool stuff that's coming out. And I'm hyped up to see how organized this DAO proposal governance process is. It's really aspiring to see. A lot of projects don't have this, so it's good.
Well, very, very happy to have you in here and participating with us. We do have 3 minutes open for questions here. Eric, did you have a question?
Yeah. Hi, Corbin. So I looked through the proposal and I was wondering, I mean, of course you offer lots of ad space. I'm missing at the moment the plan on how to use it, like what to post there and where to lead the users to. I mean, I don't know your users, the visitors, the investors. So should we just tell them hi dot, or is it more in terms of, hey, look at this use case, apply for PBA, apply for EasyA, and so on? So what kind of character is going to Bitcoin.com and what should we do with them then?
Yeah, I guess it just depends on what specific niche of users you're wanting to target with some of these ad spends, right? I think if the DAO was to make use of them in terms of promoting some of the new projects that it's funding, I think that could be a strong signal to the wider ecosystem to show that there's a lot of activity going on. So I think like we have some news areas that are a little bit more developer focused and crypto native focused, but then we also have some areas of our news that's a little bit more kind of general Bitcoin. So that could be things like, Polymarkets updates related to Trump versus Kamala, or that could be just Bitcoin latest updates on Michael Saylor and things like that. So I think if you're trying to skew the ads towards different user groups, making use of different stories and things like that is something that our team can help kind of cater specific to, depending on how the DAO sees those ads being used. We definitely don't want like any of our and we try to do this for any of our ad buyers. Is like we want to work with them and not just like put up a JPEG and say we're done. It's not quite as simple as that. We do want to find ways to get.
For us, it's important to know the real segments, because as Tommy writes, Polkadot is like bit down the rabbit hole for early Bitcoin adopters who just got into it. So we really have to tell them the ABC until we go to the Z of Polkadot.
I totally agree, and I think there's like, on the one hand, you want more developers, right? I think every community that has an L1 wants to focus on getting more developers into their ecosystem. But I think there's also probably a large amount of Polkadot holders that also just want more people to take positions. And I think that's probably where the majority of our users could potentially come in, is like, if you're seeking asset exposure to Bitcoin, you may be seeking asset exposure to Web3, or you may be seeking asset exposure to additional L1s because you see them being potential higher upside than something like Bitcoin, which might have some gains in a bull market, but you typically see more in say the more volatile assets that are a little further down in market cap. So I think probably from that perspective, there's perhaps more opportunity in the user segment that's kind of like greed inspired than developer inspired.
Okay, we're at time there. Thank you, Eric, for the question, and Corbin for the presentation. I'll just say a quick note. Some of the assets you're offering here, I think we could use some more information. Like one of the assets is threads on your X, and we see you have 3 million followers, but the engagement on your posts is a little low, and you don't really talk about that. Same with the podcast. Maybe it'd be interesting to know, like, what's the watch time or listen time on the podcast, so we know, would it be worth it to put, to line up Gavin Wood for a podcast, or is nobody going to listen past the first 30 seconds? You know what I mean? And
totally understand.
And the final thing I'll say, if this doesn't go through, we have a marketing bounty that's just being established now. And if you don't give up on us, that might be a good place to come through, and you can be kind of helped through to spend a little bit more there. Just an option to consider if in case.
Yeah. I think for us, we see this as like an opportunity for us to dig into more ecosystems. So Sweet. I think if there's other opportunities down the road, totally open to that. I think for us, we're not in a position where we're like a startup. We don't necessarily need the money. I was even saying to Ben, there's nothing stopping us from saying, well, why don't we just turn this USDT into a dot position and hold it on our treasury? Sure. We could do that as well. So maybe this is stuff that we could get into later as well.
Corbin, welcome to the DAO, and thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
We're going to move on to Ref 1252. This is the integration of Polkadot ecosystem data into Artemis, the most used crypto analytics platform by US institutional investors. Sounds very impressive. 200,000 USDC for this one. And we just started the decision period. Almost no votes whatsoever, but at 16.5% in favor. I know it's been a bit of a journey to get this proposal up. I'm glad to see it. Artemis team, welcome to the show. What's up?
Thank you so much, Jay, for having us. It was a journey, but we got there, and we're happy to be here presenting.
Beautiful.
If you don't mind, I'm just going to share a few slides.
Go for it.
To go along with our presentation here. Let me know if you guys can all see that.
Yeah, we can.
Awesome. Great. So as a quick introduction, I'm Isaiah Washington. I lead growth and strategy for Artemis, and I'm presenting on behalf of Artemis Analytics, along with Sun Do over to my left. He's our head of engineering, and our CEO, John Ma.
Hey, how's it going?
And as I speak, I'm just going to throw this link in here into the chat, so you guys can, browse around, see the product, see the terminal. But also I have some slides to take you guys through as well. So as an intro to Artemis Analytics, we're the leading, most trusted provider of on-chain fundamentals data to leading US-based investors such as Pantera, Dragonfly, Grayscale, Van Eck, Coin Fund, Franklin Templeton, the list goes on. And what we offer is a comprehensive suite of services designed to enhance protocol visibility within the broader crypto ecosystem, among and for our institutional investor customers, but also for our retail customers that use the platform as well. For the past few months, we've been highly engaged and working closely with Pavla, Kareem, and Ali of the Parity Tech team to craft a proposal specific to Polkadot's outlying data needs. So we know that you guys have been working with a few data providers in the past, Dune, Token Terminal, but what we learned is that platforms that are being utilized today still lack the ability to highly distribute Polkadot's data to US institutional investors. And that is highly underrepresented on major crypto data analytics platforms to date. So we think Artemis fits very well within Polkadot's existing data providers to solve for this exact issue. So why partner with Artemis? Artemis is an institutional grade data provider specializing in serving respected US-based investors like the ones that I mentioned, listed here as well. In addition to that, Artemis is the center of all leading liquid token funds and institutional investors' workflows with our Sheets plugin as a spearhead, which actually allows investors to pull Artemis data directly into the work they're doing on Google Sheets or Excel, which has been one of our leading products. Artemis is also a leading data provider, creating a bridge between TradFi and crypto with firms like Van Eck, Franklin Templeton, Grayscale, partnering to receive key stablecoin analytics. So to serve these institutional investors well, what makes us stand out to them is our close collaboration with top blockchains like Injective, Solana, Near, Optimism, Ton, hopefully Polkadot. And the other thing that makes us stand out is that we focus on illuminating the investment metrics that matter the most to sophisticated investment research and processes. But wanted to walk you guys through a few citations. So instead of just saying that, I can actually, put some meat behind that statement. So one of our largest customers, as you'll see here, is Franklin Templeton. It's a $1.5 trillion asset under management asset manager, and one of the most active institutional deployers of traditional capital into the digital asset space on both the liquid and the venture side. There are over 5 people on their digital assets team that literally use our products every single day. And they're a team that we regularly consult for as well. Funny enough, we were on a call with them yesterday or a few days ago, and they specifically asked for Polkadot data while we were on the call with them last week. And it was great and timely for us to mention that on the call today. Going through another one, ARK Invest, another large asset manager based in Florida, about $7 billion in assets under management that consistently leverages our platform for digital asset research, which they oftentimes publish broadly and kind of provide more distribution for the protocols on our platform. Another one is Grayscale. It's the last one I have a slide on, but another large asset manager consistently cites Artemis in their data. That is also very wide-reaching in reports, also meets with our team regularly to make sure that they have the information necessary on all the data and all the protocols and applications that they're looking into investing in or writing about. But it doesn't stop there. I myself, before coming to Artemis, I was an analyst and associate at CoinFund for 2.5 years, and I cited Artemis in almost every one of my internal investment memos. And a lot of my colleagues at Pantera, Dragonfly, Multicoin did the same thing. And Artemis data, when compared, personally speaking, when compared to like Dune and Circle Terminal, was hands down the most clear and the most effective for me to get across the points that I needed to make in my investment processes. Last thing I'll say and shill is the recent Outerlands Capital Fundamental Research Report and Crypto Index that they put together with us as well. And I'll just send that quickly in the chat. There's a link to it. There's a whole nice report. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Sundo to quickly go through our deliverables, but glad we were able to talk about kind of like the reason for this and what Artemis is.
Yeah, I think there was a quick comment about asking about Artemis being like pitch book. We actually kind of view ourselves as more of a universal data platform that supports institutional workflow anywhere they are, with a very broad distribution of not just institutional investors, but the whole crypto ecosystem broadly. So what that means is that we actually create a lot of no-code tools that a lot of these institutional investors are familiar with. Obviously, all of these people are from TradFi. Franklin Templeton has been in TradFi for a very long time, same with Grayscale. They're very familiar with certain things, such as a plugin or a Bloomberg terminal, and that's what we're trying to provide them, right? A really clear way for them to explain to the people that are distributing capital what they are distributing capital in. And I think one of the biggest things that recently has become more popularized, especially with like Larry Fink, is that we need analytics before we can make investment decisions, and that's what we provide. What this means in terms of like actual things that we're building is a dedicated project page. This dedicated project page has a lot of qualitative information that might, you see in PitchBook, but what is very differentiated with us is that we have clean and standardized data that people can really just look at and understand and quickly make an investment decision through our platform. So we did this with Flow, we've done this with Solana, we've done this with Cello, and like these things just look very clean and easy to understand. So we often get a lot of like crypto influencers and things like that just screenshotting our platform just because it's so pretty and like so easy to understand. Yeah. We also have chain compare integration. So a lot of people compare different chains together. You can't just make an investment decision based on data that you see. You need to make it in respect to the whole crypto ecosystem. And this is what like our bread and butter tools like comparison. And that's how a lot of traditional finance and investors make decisions is based on comparables to others assets that are similar. So this is like kind of our bread and butter, and it's all no code.
10 seconds there.
Yeah, and then finally, our flagship product that all investors use in their workflow is their Excel and Google Sheets. Like Excel and Google Sheets, they make these CA models. This is where they ask a lot, and we often get like feedback where it's like a lot of protocols are like, "Hey, we just talked to this investor. They said that we're not in the plugin, so they're not willing to like dig deeper. So can you get us in the plugin?" And yeah, that's it.
Awesome.
Okay, sweet guys. Thanks very much for coming on the show and sharing this with us. I did want to point out real quick that it looks like you are working with Parity. Generally, you do $50,000 a chain, but you're coming to the treasury for just $20,000 for 10 chains. And I think it would be great to get you on again and actually hear from the Parity side. I think that could give a lot of strength to your argument, or sorry, to your spender proposal. But I want to thank you guys for coming on and introducing yourselves and showing us what you're all about.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Is there are we running out, or did we run out of time, or is there no time for Pablo to say something?
Yeah, we're out of time. We've got these 8-minute slots, these beautiful 8-minute slots.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah,
hopefully we can come on next week and maybe we can allow Kareem or Pablo to say a bit.
That would be fantastic. Everybody's super welcome to come back. We just have to have these time limits, otherwise, we'll be here all week.
No, totally understand.
Yeah,
totally understand.
yeah.
Thank you everybody for listening, and thank you, Jay, for organizing.
Very good. Thank you guys.
Bye.
All right, let's keep this show rolling because we are, how lucky for us, we get to say hello again to the guys at EasyA. They are over halfway through the decision period here, 31.5% in favor with about 10.35-ish million votes in play. Welcome to the Kwok brothers. how are we gonna get this through with our decision period remaining?
Thank you very much for having us on, Jay, and it's great to see everybody on again. For anybody who doesn't know us, I'm Phil, and this is my co-founder Dom. We're co-founders of EasyA, but we're not going to talk too much about EasyA in the limited amount of time that we have. For anybody who doesn't know, we are the biggest Web3 education app. We've got a community of over 1 million developers. But this is not about that. This is not about EasyA. This is about the microgrants bounty that we're putting forwards in order to bring more developers into the Polkadot ecosystem after hackathons. And so this is an ecosystem-wide proposal. But to kick us off, I'll hand over to Dom, who can explain just a little bit about why we put this together. And then I'll wrap up with some of the feedback that we've got on the proposal and answering those as well in more detail.
Definitely. Thanks, Phil, for that introduction. Great to be on the call with everyone. So I think the main thing that is widely acknowledged in the Polkadot ecosystem is that, whilst we're hosting all of these great hackathons, there really isn't a way for a lot of developers to actually get their projects funded. And actually a logical next step for developers and founders who, once they win the hackathons, to actually continue building. And so what this proposal is really aimed to do is solve that issue. So once, let's say, they win one of the amazing hackathons that either us or the ecosystem puts on, they actually have that ability to then get a grant afterwards and actually continue building while they still have that interest in the ecosystem. And getting them at that point, sort of, in that week or two after the actual hackathon, winning that is super important. And that's what we've seen work really well for other ecosystems as well that we've partnered with in the past. And getting that sort of mind share amongst the founders and developers is really vital. And so that's what these micro grants are aimed to do, really fast funding after actually winning a hackathon to inspire those developers to continue to build.
Yeah, thanks, Dom. And really to emphasize it, as Dom said, pretty much every fast-growing ecosystem has these fast grants. So we were just pinged by Argent and Starknet, who just launched theirs. And really, everybody's launching these across the board. Because for bigger grants, it often is a lot more hassle for teams, of course. And I think this is something that we've seen across the board. I think we've seen a lot of talk across the ecosystem about how we can't really be expecting teams to go to OpenGov and navigate their way through these things. And to emphasize as well, so a couple of things that I think people were interested in with regards to our proposal. Yes, Dom and I are presenting this, but of course we have the other curators. They unfortunately couldn't make it onto this call, but hopefully they'll be able to make it on the next one. We have Flavio from Polymec, who's really leading their marketing. Sasha as well, who has deep experience, previous engineer at Parity. Otar as well from Just Open Source. And so we have a huge amount of expertise on the curator set. And to emphasize as well, this is not just an EasyA initiative. So actually, as EasyA, we aren't taking any curator reward. There's no dot that is going to go towards EasyA from this. We would still support this if somebody else were putting forward this proposal. It's just something that we really see is absolutely necessary to help both our work in the ecosystem and also that of other teams as well who are hosting hackathons and trying to bring more developers into the space. We are also working with the other bounties as well. Of course, we know that there's the DeFi bounty, .play bounty, open source developer bounty, different ones across the board. Of course, Angie and Nick are here as well from .play, and we're excited to help funnel those projects in. And this is really just helping developers get that extra step forwards with the micro grant so that they can come further forwards into the rest. So to wrap up, we see this as really being absolutely necessary within the Polkadot ecosystem if we want to see more teams successfully come out of hackathons and also more to actually get through to launching. And of course, want to leave time for questions as well if anybody has any. But really, this is something that we see as absolutely fundamental to growing the Polkadot ecosystem. And again, it is a bounty that is going to be managed by not just EasyA, of course, by the 3 other curators as well on the board.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, one of the larger dissents here is coming from Mr. Sean Tabrizi. Sean, I hope you don't mind me calling you up here, but it'd be nice to kind of get this out in the open here. Did you want to describe what your thoughts and feelings were about this? Maybe we could get a response from the guys.
Yeah, I think my thoughts is pretty straightforward. I like what EasyA is doing. I like the idea of this proposal. I just think that The idea, as I understand, is that like we chain these things off of the different EasyA hackathons that are going on. So the EasyA has a hackathon, they make a bunch of projects, and then they find the best projects and start funding them. But I was a little bit concerned that the EasyA hackathons themselves just need a little more work. They need a little bit more focus on making sure they're actually getting education in Substrate, making sure that people are actually or in Polkadot, making sure people are actually building Polkadot projects, not just doing Solidity or Ethereum projects and getting funding for that, and making sure that this actually that we're actually handing money to projects that will actually have an impact to the system. Because I think it's really easy to hand $10,000 to a bunch of teams, but having that actually make an impact to Polkadot is a couple steps away. So I would really like to see before we fund something like this, that we actually make sure that the hackathons going on are actually of high quality and actually getting people into Polkadot, exactly, with updated material, all that kind of stuff.
Okay, appreciate the criticism. Yes, Philip.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. And so, yeah, I mean, this is something that, we've been discussing. We're catching up with Sean last week. The proposal as itself and this bounty is really ecosystem-wide. So this is not just funding EasyA hackathon projects. This is, for example, Sasha. He is on the curator set or on the proposed curator set. He's obviously with Web0. They're hosting their hackathons as well. And developers from there are going to be able to feed into this. So really anybody who's hosting a hackathon will be able to come in and then help funnel their projects into this. And that's why we have the other curators and we've selected them like this, so that anybody who has a great project that maybe is just a little bit too early for some of the later stage bounties who typically give bigger amounts, or of course for OpenGov as well, which is much better suited for more mature teams. That's what this is really geared towards. And so obviously we're just two people on the curator set, and there are other curators as well, and this is going to be open to other people as well. So really not just solely towards EasyA.
Yeah, the microgrants will be also milestone based. So, we'll be able to see exactly, that the projects that are actually getting these are continuing to build. So, we can obviously, along with the other creators and other people in the ecosystem, actually have, input on that and make sure that everyone is actually building what they said they were going to be building.
And it will be retroactive as well.
Okay, I actually didn't realize that it was for other hackathons as well. Sean, did you have a response to that? Or are you good?
No, I mean, again, my stance is just ultimately that, whatever this project is, EasyA is going to take time out of their schedule, and I would really like them to focus on making sure that first they have a app and a hackathon which actually is up to date with what Polkadot has, a modern logo, has a modern information, actually doesn't talk about crowd loans, before they start putting their time into putting money everywhere, right? So I really think that if I was them, I would happily support a proposal which puts money into updating the EasyA platform. And then once it's up to date, once it's clean and up to date, then we move on to having them put money into the ecosystem, right? I think it's just the basic order of operations here.
Okay. We are at time there, Jose. I'm sorry about that. But Quack Brothers, did you want to have a quick response?
Just a very quick response to that, definitely. And that's something that we're working on, and obviously, appreciate you helping to make those suggestions as well, Sean. We've made it open source now, and we are slowly updating that. And of course, we'll be making updates across the board. When we originally launched those Polkadot challenges in the EasyA app, that was like, well over a year ago now. And so, we're working through on updating all of that. But this is something which we see as happening alongside. We already have the flow of teams that are coming through from the hackathons, from the EasyA app. And really, this is something that we just see is, look, the Polkadot ecosystem needs to grow as fast as possible. Let's not put any brakes on growth. And this is something that which can happen organically and automatically anyway. We already have teams who want to build on Polkadot. Let's just help them get in further.
Okay. All right. Interesting discussion, everybody. Thank you very much for contributing. And Phil and Dom, nice to have you back on the show. Please do come back anytime.
Thank you. Thanks for having us on.
We're going to move on now to Ref 1245. This is an interesting one. Draper University by Polkadot. Pre-accelerator Silicon Valley. This is 438,600 USDC. And we have Chris, I think, on the show. Are you still awake? Hey there, what's going on, buddy?
Hey everyone. Hey Jay. Is it right to share screen? Is that okay?
Yeah, it's good. We're gonna. Yep, timer started.
And I think EasyA was is a great segue to us, because it's also that we're chatting with those guys as well around. I think it's a pathway for the the hackathon people as well, whether if they want to look into entrepreneurship and how we can help. Let me share a screen here.
Mm-hmm.
I want to just run through primarily the proposal today. I can't see you guys, by the way, but so yeah, my name's Chris Jonio. I head up ecosystem growth for Draper University. We're part of the larger Draper Venture Network, and I put together a lot of the blockchain proposals that you'll see in here. And we're proposing a pre-accelerator to help onboard or transition, technical founders into thinking and becoming more entrepreneurial and creating more entrepreneurs, with the idea that if we can get them investor ready, thinking more commercially, that they can build products that the market actually wants, that we can help onboard a lot more users into the Polkadot ecosystem. I'll go through kind of our who we are and why we're here, and then I'll get into the proposal specifically. But Draper University is kind of a leading pre-accelerator there in Silicon Valley. We have quite a bit of infrastructure there in downtown San Mateo. This is also part of the kind of the value proposition that we add, is that we have this ability for everyone to stay with us. So we want to bring the best entrepreneurs, and we do bring the best entrepreneurs from around the world. And we do everything from education to pre-acceleration through to funds dedicated to our alumni. And this residency bit is super interesting because we're the only ones that offer that in Silicon Valley. So last program, as an example, we had 110 startups in the building from 35 countries. So a really great combination of high growth entrepreneurs, high potential entrepreneurs from around the world. Ongoing support. Alumni is a big deal for us. We're supporting them at events around the world. We have a fund dedicated to alumni, as mentioned. We've produced unicorns in a bunch of verticals. This proposal's predominantly focused on our blockchain experience, but we do have experience in a bunch of different verticals. The program's been very successful. The startups that have gone through the program have just gone to raise just over $1 billion this year. $1.05 billion. In the larger Draper ecosystem, so you got Draper University, Draper Associates, Draper Next Ventures, Draper B1, lots of funds. I'd say we're primarily venture capitalists in the education business. And I include this slide to say that we're not an accelerator that's just like, when the markets start tacking on a blockchain program. We were, seed stage Coinbase, feed chain, Ledger, so on and so forth. So we've been there kind of day one. We're all about kind of decentralizing everything, and we will continue to invest in the space. In terms of our success, we have everything from companies being acquired for $275 million on demo day to $100 million deals with Coca-Cola. I'd say this typical kind of accelerator stuff. What's not so typical, and I appreciate everyone that watched through the video, is our access to some of the biggest founders in the world. So as an extreme example, Elon Musk has taught a couple classes, taken the cohort to Tesla, but always some big superstars stopping past. And I think this is the benefit of leaning on portfolio companies, leaning on alumni. In terms of our ecosystem, just so you know how wide it is and how this is useful to getting VCs on demo day or to doing the recruitment. We've got everything from hotels, I'd say more like hostels around the world. There's an entry point for entrepreneurs everywhere from Bangalore, Singapore, Lisbon, Tallinn, to where we sit with the flagship in between Silicon Valley and in between education acceleration, non-for-profits, funds, bigger funds, global network of funds. So there's pathways for the entrepreneur when they're starting, as they're scaling, whether they're trying to move into different regions. We can support their growth. If you look at the history of it all, we essentially started venture capital. Tim Draper's grandfather created the first Silicon Valley fund and created the general partner limited partner model that's used by all VCs today. Tim Draper's track record I get into a little bit. So $7 billion US deployed, 34 unicorns, 6 rhinos, how we define a $10 billion plus company that for the most part we're in the seed stage. So big track record in picking and backing, these kind of moonshots and identifying them very early, and the belief that the best entrepreneurs could be anywhere. So he was the first US investor into Estonia with Skype. He was the first US investor into China Baidu. That's kind of the global footprint as it comes together with the funds and the hotels for entrepreneurs and kind of all the infrastructure we have in Silicon Valley. In terms of our Jay, I can't see you, buddy. So how am I going for time?
Oh, you have 2.5 minutes.
Okay. In terms of our blockchain expertise, as mentioned, we're big believers in the space, have been, continue to invest. You can watch the funds. We have funds that are dedicated to crypto as well. We're not slowing down. It doesn't matter what the market looks like. But we offer everything from hacker houses, and these can be weekends to up to 3 weeks. The beauty here is the ability for them founders to stay together and not go home and burn out and all that. We run the accelerators for big partners. And then we have the funds, and then we introduced a fellowship to help kind of build pipeline for the accelerators or to get to the entrepreneurs earlier so they could pick the chain and that we could influence their decision on how they started to build. And this is kind of the territory we're pitching here. Everything from developer-focused programs, so some partners just want to get new people building on the platform, to kind of market entry via the US as like a landing pad and using us as a go-to-market, to government. Leading governments are now coming to us with their Web3 vertical. And then, big deal we just did with Stellar that includes hacker houses, accelerators. Algorand was a tremendously successful demo day. Haven't seen anything quite like it. Insane, in fact, but this is last bull market. But 13 teams raised over $17.5 million. 2 teams raised over $3 million on the day. Pretty nuts. Haven't seen anything like it. So everything, we can leverage our startup communities, our global network, all the deal flow that's coming through via the funds. Between our own network, we'll take care of about 70-80% of the applications. We do PR or social media if we need to support it, but that generally will get us hundreds of applications in any program in any vertical. This is kind of a typical flow. Wouldn't get too hooked up on the number here. I know there's questions here. I think it's more quality. It depends how we recruit too, so we can push on volume, but sometimes the quality is not there, and sometimes we do a lot of pitch events around the US or around global, and that gets a high quality list, but it's kind of a smaller number. So it just depends how we recruit. And then the proposal here is recruiting, going and scouting and putting the word out to our own infrastructure to find startups in artificial intelligence, real world assets, and gaming. This was trying to look at thematics that we thought were useful for Polkadot. They got lots of support, ongoing mentorship. This is dealing with VCs, dealing with potential customers. So this is the transition from developer to entrepreneur, I would say. Lots of mindset stuff. Here's the typical week, how it looks. Very intense.
Chris, we're actually at time there. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
I think I covered most of it except for the cost.
Yeah. Well, the cost is definitely worth discussing as well. But it's kind of interesting what you're doing here. So you're serving high quality investors with their checkbooks looking for good projects. And then on the other hand, you're serving ecosystems and startups within those ecosystems. Do I understand that correct?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
And I think we're particularly good at creating the entrepreneurs as opposed to creating developers. So I think it's complementary to some of the other the EasyAs and the PBAs of the world.
Sounds really nice. Nick, unfortunately, we're at time here. Okay. But we're going to hopefully, Chris, if you could do another late night next week, We'll get you back on. Maybe we'll put you further up in the show too. Sorry to keep you up. But thanks for bringing this to the table. This ticks a lot of boxes, but definitely we want to dive in a bit deeper. Right now, 84.6% in favor. A little low on the turnout so far, but we'll check in next week.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, we have a few discussions to get into today. And okay, here we are on Poke Assembly, looking very creepy, everybody, for the Halloween stuff. Managed to get this working. Wasn't working earlier, but now we're good. We have James in. Okay, so James is very active in the ecosystem. He just got a small tipper in. What do you have? Another small spender on the way right now, and you have 2 new discussions for us this week. The first one, Fuel Alerts by Basel, Creative Tech Accelerator for Polkadot. In the discussion phase, James, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, I want the bulk of this time to be yielded to Dennis, who's the CEO of Fuel Arts, so he can give an overview and leave time for questions.
Okay.
So I would like to tee it over to him first, and then if there's anything else, I'll jump in at the end.
All right, we're teed up. We see a screen share, but we're not hearing anything.
One sec.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thank you for your trust and support to present our joint project with Basel in front of your community. So let me fully share the screen and we'll begin. So yeah, thank you, James, for the introduction. I'm Dennis, general partner at Fuel Arts. We are a creative tech accelerator and venture empowering startups with a focus on blockchain ecosystems. So together with Basel, who are the pioneers of blockchain adoption in Miami, we are preparing to expand the Polkadot creative ecosystem and boost its presence in the US. So that will be the next step after sponsoring Inter Miami with Messi. First of all, what is creative tech? Shortly, it's the infrastructure powering the 2.6 trillion creative economy, so encompassing sectors like art, music, fashion, film, gaming, design, and more. So the title of the leading blockchain there in creative tech is still up for grabs, so we are ready to claim it for Polkadot. How we're going to do that? Fuel Arts and Basel, we propose an 18-week online acceleration program for creative tech startups that are currently either using or aiming to implement Polkadot products and protocols. So the aim of the accelerator is to increase the number of those creative startups utilizing Polkadot products and showcase the benefits of Polkadot protocols and develop more open source tech tools on Polkadot for use by the other startups. So whom are we waiting for? So our program offers startups. We're looking for the startups at the MVP development stage who have created an MVP. We're not taking equity, and that allows us to assemble the most interesting ideas on the market. So our program offers startups all that, as I said, without taking any equity. And the startups of this accelerator should drive the increased adoption and transaction volume of the Polkadot network. So what else should be said? Why Fuel Arts? So we are the market leaders. We have identified 3,500 creative tech startups so far. We understand the trends and driving the innovation. Our accelerator has deep roots in the blockchain space. So, and also in 2022, Tezos chose us to help them grow their art adoption. We educated 10 startups for their ecosystem, with one later admitted and funded by Microsoft. Also in partnership with Basel, we created and constantly creating, updating the Miami Creative Tech Startups report. So we're keeping the hand on the pulse of the ecosystem in the US, in Miami area, and we know the startups know us. Why Basel? Basel is a synonymous of Web3 and creative tech in Miami, hosting landmark events like Miami Art Week. So, and they are shaping the future of creative tech, but they will present themselves a bit later. The next inquiry is also from them. So together we have an extensive network of more than 3,000 investors, including major Web3 funds like Christie's Ventures, Outlier Ventures, Ryan Zurers, Dialectic, and Mike Novogratz, Galaxy. So we maintain strong connections with Web3 funds, and our graduates have a proven track record of securing funding, like with 75% receiving investment within 3 to 5 months post acceleration. we made an analysis of the Polkadot ecosystem, and we know how to. We found out some critical gaps, and we are ready to propose our cure to fix the current ecosystem and to develop the new leaders in creative tech using Polkadot products. Our program consists of two stages: pre-acceleration stage and the main batch. So this approach, from our experience, engages more startups with the Polkadot blockchain and providing value even for those who do not pass the enrollment to the second stage. It also helps Polkadot identify promising non-creative tech startups, for future collaboration. You will find all the information about the milestones. I just want to listen to your questions in our deck and in our pitch. They are available online. But yes, it's a 10-month program in whole, which starting from the application call till the demo day. So funding one program, Polkadot community receives two, the acceleration and the marketing campaign. Yes, our program consists of 4 layers: creative economy, marketing, tech, and finance, covering all the entrepreneurs' needs. Our team consists of experienced organizers working in Google Accelerator, Techstars, 500 startups. Our mentors are also leading mentors in those accelerators and Web3 and AI-focused companies. So 3 things to recap. We have a 2-level program to reduce risks of negative buzz. We have a 10-month ongoing marketing campaign. And our aim is to position Polkadot as the primary blockchain for creative tech. For those who think that creative tech is only about NFTs and art, we should go to Disney, we should go to Netflix, we should go to the fashion industry.
Hey, Dennis, sorry to
creative
cut you off,
advertising.
but
Yes.
we're running out of time. Let's see if we have a minute to get the questions.
Thank you for your time. I'm done.
All right, Dennis, thanks a lot. Okay, look at this. So 3, similar ideas here in a row. And we have a kind of a variety of costs here. How much is this one going to cost? Or what
300.
300,000. Okay. So we had,
Yes.
what was that? EasyA was 200, and then Draper was 438.6, and this is 300. Very interesting. Do we have any questions before the timer runs out? We just have, I guess, time for a very quick question. We got the shaking head there. Okay, well, it's just in discussion phase here, so we have a lot of time to dive into it a little bit deeper. Dennis, thank you very much for coming on and sharing.
Yes, thank you. I should say that we have already started receiving questions on the page where James listed the application. We'll be happy to reply to Eric and others there. Thank you for your questions. They are very smart. That shows that that the community really needs it. Thank you.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much, guys. James, you have another one up here. This also has to do with Art Basel, BitBasel, official blockchain sponsor for BitBasel closing party, hosted by the Grammy winners Anita and Azuna.
Yeah, so just to tee that one up,
sure.
I've been talking with BitBasel since I came back to Florida in August. I want the bulk of the time to go to Jorge so he can talk about who BitBasel is and what their proposal is about. But my point is, our conversations have always been around with a view toward what we're going to be able to do in 2025. And this was an attempt for something that we would be able to do in 2024 at a smaller level that would serve both sides. So over to you, Jorge.
Okay, Jorge.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Yes.
I hope you guys are hearing me well. Greetings from New York. I'm co-founder of BitBasel, and we are your city's crypto art community. We are a spin-off out of the Blockchain Center in downtown Miami for a few years until COVID. Once we had to close the Blockchain Center because of COVID, we spin off BitBasel in order to continue with all our ecosystem development activities, not only in South Florida, but in 12 different cities, and specifically for the creative industries, art, music, fashion, film, design. And in our last 4.5 years, we co-created the blockchain lab for University of Florida under the School of the Arts, under the School of Digital Worlds. And this is the top best school in Florida, which is where EA Sports and companies like Disney hire their talent pool. So we've been working on building the ecosystem in the Miami Tech ecosystem since 2006. But as far as Beat Basel, we have been focusing on the artist experience. We have never done or created any PFPs. We do webinars, we do seminars, nothing bad about PFPs. I'm just trying to say that we focus on the artist, and scalability is everything for us. So this year for Miami Art Week, it's our biggest event of the year, of course, in Miami, and we are at the epicenter of the Miami Tech and Web3 communities in South Florida. This year we have 7 days at the Sagamore Hotel. The proposal for you guys, we love Polkadot. I know some members of the community for a while, but now James is really spearheading and being a super proactive leader in our community. And I want to give all of these developer meetups, webinars, and all these activities that we're doing to complement his work for Polkadot in Miami and South Florida. Our proposal encompasses our full day of activities with different groups of women of Web3 that are looking for minting platforms to, to mint their collections, the new collections. But for the closing ceremony of Miami Art Week, we have a concert like in the proposal, Anita and Ozuna. These are artists that have millions and millions of followers all over the world and in Latin America. Of course, we have served Latin America as well in Spanish. And we're gonna have a collective of art and artists and Web3 companies that are gonna join us throughout the week. I would like to open the discussion for questions, and I want to plug here the domain is pretty easy, beatbasel.miami. You can see a lot of more of the information. This year we have been bringing big enterprises like Paramount Plus, Sony Music, Warner Bros, and they are looking for these blockchain and Web3 partners for them to look into the future. And they're looking at leaders like us in order to being able to develop their strategy for digital worlds. I would like to hear questions so far. As far as what Miami Art Week encompasses, it is an event that has been growing for at least 25 to 30 years. Starting with Art Basel, now there's about 30 to 40 gigantic contemporary modern art exhibits. And the Miami Tech ecosystem, the technology sector, took over after COVID, and now it's a gigantic exhibit of laser projection mapping, VR, XR. We have the VR AR Global Association also with us. We have the Blockchain Lab from University of Florida. And I think that all of this to say that we're not only trying to bring enterprises to partner up with Web3 companies and protocols like Polkadot, but we're excited about what Polkadot can do for the Miami ecosystem and the South Florida ecosystem.
Okay, all right. So, okay, we're eating into question time here, but at its heart, this is an event sponsor. So let's hear from Angela.
I was just going to ask if you already have momentum in terms of other sponsors and who else in the blockchain space you have.
Thank you so much. Yes, great question. We are also hosting an investor summit, actually 2 investors summit based on Web3. The first one is our Creative Tech Investor Summit along with Fuel Arts. We have Coin Fund is part of it. They're going to be active not only as speakers, but they are going to collaborate on other activities to be announced soon. We have Borderless Capital. We have, of course, Fuel Arts. And Cointelegraph is going to be broadcasting live from Beat Basel. It's going to cover everything that we have as far as sponsors. Of course, Polkadot is one of those already with the activities from James. I know James has a question, but I wanted to point out that Cointelegraph is hosting its own Web3 conference for investors and art collectors. As far as other blockchain companies that are joining us, more like our collective of art, we have One Force that is also part of it. Their logo is already on the website. There's others that we're right now closing and signing documents, so they're not on the website yet. But I think we're gonna have between 10 to 15 startups or blockchain or Web3 companies. But as far as big protocols, I think we want to work with Polkadot. There's really not too much ordinal or Bitcoin exposure or Ethereum either. I think yes.
Okay. No, I think
Is it too long?
Well, we just want short answers, short questions. James,
I think James has.
Why don't you go for it, James? We have 1 minute.
The comment I wanted to add for the listeners is this is a discussion document, and we want to work with the community to come back with what's going to be really powerful to be a win for Polkadot. I've reached out to the events bounty. I've reached out to Coda and Unique Network. Charu is going to be in Miami this weekend. I'm going to speak with her because she's interested in understanding how we can contribute going forward. Angela, to your comment, my goal for 2025 is for Polkadot to be the exclusive blockchain partner. For 25K for this year, that's not possible, but they were able to come back with this opportunity for their closing event, and we get signage and coverage throughout the event. And there's just not a lot of other blockchain protocols here in Miami doing work like this right now. A lot of them have left the market over the last year, so the opportunity is, I believe, ripe and interesting for us. And I really want to work with the team to figure out what can we do best to make this really work for Polkadot with the interesting exposure that we have. And I will be speaking at the Investor Summit Day during the week of the event.
I was actually specifically thinking about Tezos because they're so highly, strongly associated with Art Basel. And I wondered if you had worked with them already or if this is somewhat related. I just wanted to make sure, or just understand it.
I am not working with Tezos at the moment, but one of our partners here, Dennis and Fulars, they actually developed their accelerator with tremendous traction and actually success on their work for accelerating Tezos companies. We're not currently working with Tezos.
Okay, we can all see the timer, and we know we're over time now. Thank you very much, Jorge, for coming on and describing this to us. We do have a curator of the events bounty in the YouTube chat saying that this should go to the events bounty, and that makes a lot of sense.
Thank you, guys.
There. Thank you very much.
We're expecting 7,000 people. Thank you so much.
Okay, very cool. Okay, also a note from Mr. Lowell McShiz in the chat, and I think this is probably good advice for everybody. Because we have limited time on the show, we really want to jump right into what are we going to do for Polkadot. So sometimes we get lost in the sauce and a little bit of context, but right away we got to dive into what are we going to offer for Polkadot, and if it's good enough, maybe we can get the spend proposal through. But we are going to move on now to the final discussion of the day. The final discussion asking for funds at least. This is Matthias from Appon, milestone number 3. So milestone number 1 was September of 2023. Milestone number 2 was, what was that, April of this year maybe? And here we are with milestone number 3. Sir, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks for having us. So yeah, we are live with the discussion. Wanted to kind of keep the hygiene because we've seen a lot of posts just been going straight through proposals without any discussions up front. So we opened the discussions up front. Milestone 3 is basically consolidating what all that we've done so far. And I mean, we've seen in the past a lot of discussions that Polkadot should keep up or kind of come up with some meme coins or something to kind of compete with Solana and get some traction and so on. Whereas I believe, and I think also the narrative around Polkadot is going to the direction that enterprise would be the next big step when it drives adoption of blockchain technologies. And basically our milestone 3 is combining all the tech that we've done so far and integrating it into Salesforce.com. So we have the contract signed already. And what we're going to do is open up our APIs and build into the so-called LWC, which is the Lightning Web Component on Salesforce.com, which is a JavaScript framework, which essentially will open up all the Polkadot tech that we've already implemented on Appon to be used by Salesforce customers, which means the Lightning Web Component, like I said, is a JavaScript component, which is mostly used for campaigns, sales activities, incentivizations, loyalty programs. Whatever company is using Salesforce, they kind of use this Lightning Web Component to, let's say, create a new website, which then leads back into their Salesforce CRM. And yeah, I'll just, if I can share a screen real quick. I'll just share the whole screen actually. Much easier. So this is just a simple, basically representation. So we're gonna, with the milestone tree, puppy, gonna be implemented, which on top we then have the different service improvements we already have in place. From that, we abstract different templates like POAP, loyalty programs, NFT airdrops, embedded wallets. And this is all going to be then basically integrated into Salesforce.com. But apart from that, the big thing is basically also improvement of the underlying services we already have. Because dealing with enterprise customers, there have to be some SLAs in place. There have to be real secure, let's say, components there. Because those companies rely on highly available and highly secure integrations. So we have to make sure that all the integrations we've done so far are well audited, well coded, and flawless to a specific regard. So, so this is going to be one vertical. So the flagship integration of Salesforce. Then we're going to have expansions of new services, and those expansions are going to be POP Network. We're going to have Quill as a decentralized database. We're going to have SaaS to expand the storage capabilities. We're going to also have Prosopo, which is a Web3 grant recipient, to kind of create an easier Web3 alternative to Google CAPTCHAs. And then we're going to basically expand the existing features. The current feature, which is going to be basically the first implementation, is going to be our embedded wallet feature. And for this, I just want to show you a quick demo of what it basically is. It's an SDK that lives in a trusted executable environment. So the private keys live in a trusted executable environment. It's basically a software ledger, which means this SDK can be integrated in any web app, Web 2 app, Web 3 app, mobile app, whatsoever, and gives users seamless onboarding into Web 3. So if I enter my email in here, and this is the same flow as would go for any other user, you'll now receive an email with a 6-digit code. The 6-digit code basically, so my email now works as an identifier. The 6-digit code, give me a second. 7, and now the passkey is being triggered. So I just put my finger on my fingerprint reader, and it's done. So basically, the wallet is now being generated on the back end. The private key is being generated, and this private key gives me, in this case, an EVM address. And I'm ready to go and start exploring the Web3 world. And without any mnemonics, without any passkeys, I haven't had to save anything. I'm now able to receive NFTs. I'm able to sign messages. I'm basically onboarded onto Web3, which is still the biggest hurdle on when it comes to user adoption. The thing here is, this is like, I would say a very how to say low-level wallet. It's a basic wallet, so you cannot do any governments, you cannot do any staking whatsoever. For this, we call like this is like the virgin path of a user. So when they onboard it, they have a wallet. Once they want to go further, they can export those keys to Nova, Talisman, sub wallet, whatever, and go deeper into our stack. But at least we get a lot of users on board very quickly. And basically, the user can interact with it in a very simple way as well. So you want to sign a message, fingerprint, Face ID, whatsoever. For the end user, it's completely seamless and frictionless. So this thing is also going to be presented on Web Summit, for example. So we're going to be having a booth at Web Summit in Lisbon this year. We have a talk there, we have a booth there, and we're going to basically presenting Appon on the Polkadot ecosystem at the Web Summit through 2 Web2 companies. So yeah, I think I'm not sure how much time still have, but basic idea of Web3, of the milestone Web3 is enhancing the current infrastructure, expanding with additional features, but the flagship integration is going to be basically offering the Polkadot stack to Salesforce customers, specifically with, let's say, Transistor and Pokey leading the way and getting enterprises onboarded. This can be a very easy and quick win for the ecosystem to have an offering right off the bat without having to go deep down into the stack and explain how Polkadot in general works.
All right, thanks very much. Okay, so just to be clear, you're not integrating with Salesforce, but you're going to be on this app exchange, right?
No, I mean, Salesforce has a so-called Lightning Web component, which is their JavaScript framework.
Yeah.
And then it's part of their marketplace. Yeah. So basically,
Part of
every
the
user.
marketplace, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. You mentioned dealing with enterprise customers, and you also mentioned some of the integrations you've done so far. Do you have any details on that?
There's a larger customer which we cannot disclose yet, still under an NDA. But yeah, I think Mario Marketplace and App Exchange, yes. There are customers basically lined up to start using it, yes.
Okay, so you have customers lined up. Anybody have
Yes.
any questions? Okay. All right. I guess the last question then, between the first and second milestones, I don't know the exact numbers because we can't pull up the discussion posts or the proposals from the last ones, but we've sunk about 1.6 million into this project so far, and you're looking for another 1.1?
1.1, yes.
Okay.
I mean, the first proposal was, I think, was 700K. The first was 7, the second one was 800.
Yep.
And now it's 1.1, yeah.
Okay. All right. So what's the path to more transactions on the Polkadot network from here?
I mean, I can pull up real quickly. I mean, what we've done so far. Let me quickly find where I have it because I have the presentation here as well.
Okay, we're at time, but we'll get your answer here for sure.
Yeah. But so far, I mean, we've had just a second. There we go. So we have 250,000 files have been uploaded to IPFS through Crust. There are 20,000 NFT collections, 25,000 websites being hosted, 130,000 plus developers, builders on Appon, who are basically doing daily transactions on Appon, and this translates down to all the parachains. So I can then share afterwards all the wallets that are being used. So Crust, Fala, Moonbeam, Astar, Kilt, now Hydra, Unique, and they're basically we are running transactions all those parachains, and they're obviously then translated transactions on Polkadot.
Okay, cool. You know what? It would be awesome to see like this in chart form. Like we could actually see what transactions on the network are being attributed to here, because it's like thousands of apps and websites and stuff. But like it'd be nice to just see like a huge list of them so we could look at them all.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
We'll do live. I mean, just for reference, so we want to really connect and have a lot of discussions going for the next week. We want to go live by beginning of November. So feel free to go to the discussion post, ask your questions, and make sure we incorporate all those questions into the proposal itself.
Okay, very nice. All right, thanks very much. Nice to have you on the show again.
Thank you.
All righty, let's keep rolling here. We are done the big presentations for today, but we do have a few more topics to discuss. One, we have Mr. Allison Bob back on the show, and he has put forth on the Wish for Change track bounty compliance standards. Everybody fall in line. Allison Bob has some standards, and we want you to comply. Tommy, welcome to the show. What do you want to tell us about this one?
Hello, good morning. Yeah, exactly. What's coming up here? Yeah, so the interesting thing about Polkadot and OpenGov, if you look at the evolution of OpenGov, is that basically everyone that came into Polkadot didn't come here for politics or something, or like running a DAO. We were interested in the technology. And so then OpenGov was put on us. And in the beginning, you see this movement from like every proposal after the other is being decided. And then over time, we figure out, okay, we can put some things to bounties. Bounties have been around longer than OpenGov. And some things are going directly to referenda. And bounties initially were intended as a mechanism to say, we want to get something specific done, and here's a pot of money. But the evolution that we've seen with bounties is that they're actually becoming much more sophisticated mechanisms. So they are basically our proxy mechanism if we want to set up certain departments for certain things. So for example, marketing bounty just got approved. We have the events bounty, also the UX bounty, and they are taking care of specific aspects in Polkadot. So bounties are upgraded in how we see them and what we expect from them. And you can see this in how much energy goes into discussions when we're debating if we want to set up a new bounty or not. And over time, over the last, I don't know, bounties have been around for longer, but I think they have been intensely debated since OpenGov. So in the last 1.5 years or so, bounties have come to a point where we are very specific about what we want from them. So curators is a thing we discuss a lot, when and how often to fund bounties and so on. So all of these discussions are sort of coming to a point where we expect certain things from bounties. And so the idea is now, if we assume that they are becoming departments and they are part of the executive side of OpenGov, where we want bounties to be able to fulfill these functions and to a proper quality, the idea is now, and the question is now, can we set up certain minimum standards that we expect every bounty to fulfill if they want to come for funding regularly? So a bounty that, for example, in the past, we have seen the marketing bounty, but there was a lot of, it was not really clear what are the exact goals of the marketing bounty, and then it got defunded or it got no longer funded. So putting it all together, this is a proposed standard about what we expect from bounties, where we say it should have a certain list of objectives set out so that we can measure the success of the bounty. When a bounty comes for funding, we want to have a budget breakdown. A time frame when it is expected to deliver. We want to have past work being transparently shown. We want curators to have verified on-chain identities. We want to have clarity on how curators are being paid. We don't want double dipping, so they basically, curators don't have to claim work that has already been done. And how do we want to see transparency? So for example, one bounty wanted to protect the value that they got in DOT, and so they swapped it out for stablecoins. But now we don't have the same data anymore on-chain because child bounties are no longer on-chain, right? So because everything is getting more differentiated, we need, in order to audit it and in order to keep it all under control and be able to see what is actually happening in the bounties, we need certain standards about transparency also, right? So this proposal sets out a list of standards that have been discussed on the forum. We got over 60 comments from people like Lon McShiz, Silodrone, Taylor from KeoStyle, Limo from Limo, also other bounties. So people from different bounties have been contributing, sharing ideas also on the forum. William, Hope. So yeah, this is basically the first version of this. So I also call it 1.0 with the idea that it can evolve over time. And maybe one last comment. I'm seeing this in a much bigger context where this is one part, like one Lego of a series of proposals that sort of can make up the way we see OpenGov. Okay, why is it on a wish for change? The idea is just to see how much are stakeholders supporting this idea. I think the more stakeholders are supporting this idea, the more they will then uphold bounties to the standards that we're setting up here. If they reject this proposal, then maybe this is not a good idea. And then we have to look for different ways in how we can make sure that we have certain standards being included in Polkadot.
Okay, very nice. We lost our timer, but we do have about 3 minutes left to discuss this. Now, as I've said many times on the show, I'm highly skeptical of any standards or automations at this point in the DAO. So I looked at this with a very careful eye, and I have to say it's all pretty sensible and straightforward stuff. Basic expectations if you're going to be managing a large piece of the treasury. So I do encourage people to check this out because I think it is actually very sensible and well laid out. So congratulations on that. That's my point of view. But does anybody else have a thought on this?
There's a good question in the chat here.
Yes.
Does this apply for only upcoming bounties or also retroactively to already active bounties?
Yeah. In the first draft, it applied to past bounties, but there was the feedback to this comes as a surprise to bounties. So the idea is that it applies to future bounties.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe to go a little bit into this enforceability discussion, like nothing of this here is enforceable. The idea is we have a certain set of standards, and you can deviate from the standards, but it should put a little bit of pressure on you to explain yourself of why you're deviating, because there can be good reasons, and then it's good to deviate. But it shows sort of a baseline of what we expect standards when they want to become a consistent part of Polkadot.
Very nice. Okay, any other questions or comments? Hope, yeah.
Hey guys, so I think the guidelines are a great thing. I think we need guidelines, right? We pivot as we go, we learn as we go, and then the guidelines pivot along with us. We need some sense of structures. One thing I would add, and I think, you know, the reasons for me putting out marketing strategy and concepts with the bounty coming up is that I think all the bounties should have some form of strategy to jump from that the community is aware of. So as we go and learn, the strategies change and they should be high level, right? Like we don't need to make them so, you know, this is it, this is law, but we need some form of guidance, you know, for each other and amongst each other.
Nice. Eric.
Yeah, so of course with OpenGovWatch as a creator at the marketing bounty, we can directly test how those standards apply to work, to daily active governing and curating and so on. So I think this will be as well like a test run. The same as well what you guys do with the UX bounty. So I think we should do some testing, refining, and then of course reporting and sharing this knowledge with the rest of the DAO on what is practical, and so that we don't constrain ourselves as well with too much bureaucracy while keeping up a high level of transparency, of course.
Very wise, very wise. Hope, did you have another thing to add on? We have 20 seconds.
No,
Oh,
I put in something for Wish for Change track. So regardless of what happens, I would like people to see it and consider it and have conversation around it.
What is your
So
wish?
thank you.
What is your wish for change? What number is it?
It's not out yet. I put it in and it seems, even though I have enough money in my wallet to at least post it, it's not going through. So Bill's
Decision
looking
deposit.
at it.
Oh, but what's the ref number?
I don't have one. I created the
Oh.
pre-image and it went through, and the one dot to put it on for decision deposit is not working. So Bill right now is looking at it from Web3, and I want everybody to consider it. I
Okay.
reached out to a lot of members of the community for it, and their feedback and links to their work is in it. And, for all the creative ideas. So I really would like people to take a look, consider, and, let's bring discussion to the table.
Well, we'll definitely take a look when we can see it, but as you say, I can't find it here. But all good. We'll be able to check that out next week. Hey, Felix, now that we have you here, what's going on in Cardano land? Because I've heard some rumbles of, you were going to do like an AAG style show, but I'll be curious to know if that picked up. And I also heard that Unifiers was kind of taken over or something. I have nothing but rumors. Why don't you fill us in?
Oh, blockchain space, rumors and dramas.
Who knew?
Cardano land is doing pretty well, to be
Good,
honest.
good.
Yeah, we started to drive the whole list of governance innovations from Polkadot, which we would love to see on Cardano. AAG is one of them on the top list, because after all, for us, it's really like a governance initiative, actually, that you're hosting. I had the initial idea to host it myself and figured out I was never streaming before and figured out OBS is fucking burning my PC. Like, I don't have the hardware to do it, actually.
Yeah.
So we said, oh, okay, cool. Let's figure somebody else for this, so there's some process. But some other really cool things, actually. As some of you may have noticed, in August, IoT Cardano, we implemented the first Cardano partner chain framework, which is built on Substrate. And we have Kukabi, one of the experienced Substrate builders on Polkadot, starting to propose integrations of tooling to Cardano. That's actually something really cool. So say, nice, Polkadot has some pretty fancy tooling we would love to see on Cardano, and we can fund it in Cardano as well, right? So onboarding Polkadot builders to Cardano via grant funding. That's actually a pretty cool thing going on. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Sorry, is that everything? Go ahead.
A bunch of other stuff as well. Cross-chain events. We're still in talk with folks from the events bounty there to draft a nice format for Cardano Polkadot events. We hosted the first one as well, which was a governance weekend, which we hosted in Geneva, where we had Chipa from OpenGovWatch there and presenting OpenGov to a bunch of Cardano governance heads, which was fucking awesome, to be honest. Was the first time Chipa presented in front of people, and he did an awesome job there. You should definitely, if you have some governance ambassadors one day, Chipa is one of them for sure. And then also, yeah, quite a lot in speaking with the IoT partner chain team then to figure out, cool, what further items would we like to have from especially the substrate ecosystem on Polkadot getting over, which also ended up in a really cool conversation this week where I chat with Christian from Polkadot, where he thought about the substrate fellowship actually. Because as substrate will become highly important to Cardano, and you have already this nice format of the fellowship and already bootstrapped with the technical fellowship, came a really nice idea then as well to say, hey, how could actually such a substrate fellowship look like to make sure we have a well-strategized coordination around everything substrate development? Because right now it's a little bit chaotic anyway. It's hard for Cardano people to understand what the fuck is substrate, where's documentation, where do I need to go to? And such a fellowship could maybe be a pretty awesome thing then actually, and to say such a fellowship could ideally have some builders from Polkadot, but also from Cardano as members. And when it serves both ecosystem, then also once again this idea coming up, cross-funding it, right? So say it serves multiple ecosystems, so it should be also maintained and funded by multiple ecosystems. So overall, still a lot of communications, a lot of figuring out what should be done effectively, what can we do, what is the roadmap, who are the people. It's a struggle, it's a mess, especially since in Cardano and Polkadot, everything is rapidly evolving. So, but yeah, I think we get better and better in figuring good opportunities and also good formats to make that then actually happening. That's also a reason why we still didn't came with any referenda, even after being almost 1 year quite engaged in Polkadot. Because once we come, we really want to be sure, okay, cool, we delivered already quite some good value beforehand. And we know that, yeah, this thing is battle-proofed and understood. So give us time, but we are active as fuck. I would say, actually, I became half-time Polkadot. Met a lot of people here, awesome people. And yeah, and a bunch of Cardano colleagues seem to experience it likewise. So that's really cool to see. Like Cardano Polkadot romance is definitely a narrative very common now, I think. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the update, and it's nice to have you over here. Definitely looking forward to those cross-treasury proposals and see how it all goes on chain. But interesting thing to work for at this point.
And that dude, really, it's far more complicated to figure out this stuff than initially thought. When we started this whole thing last year, I said, oh, cool, this will be easy, amazing, cool stuff, really quick to fucking know. Oh my God. But it's worth it. It's a fun. Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. I'm going to swing back over to Polkadot here. We have 2 parallel attempts to have an ambassador program still ongoing. The one, Georgie's back with a improved proposal to remove the now 19 head ambassadors from the existing ambassador collective. And this just got a vote from Saxonburg on the nay side, bringing it to about 50-50, but super low turnout and a long ways to go on this fellowship admin track. We also have Lucy on the show, who has been working hard with other people in the community, some ambassadors, some not, to create version 0.1 of this Polkadot Ambassador Manifesto. Lucy, did you want to speak about this for a while?
Yeah, for sure. I've got a couple of other people I think on the call here, but Don Diego and Lorena, who have been sort of we're the main collators in this, but there's many voices, many of whom are on this call, including Felix, who has been fantastic. Yeah, so we are at tomorrow. We will be posting version 2. So we posted version 1 on Monday, as promised. We've had 2 Twitter spaces since then, and loads of people have been in the doc commenting. We have collated all of that feedback and are making the necessary changes, including speaking about the funding model within the manifesto, which we weren't planning on doing, but that's the plan now, is to speak about the optimistic funding, which is the fragment system. We've got Sean on, so I'm not going to talk too much about it because I'll probably cock it up. And then the kind of the small treasury that comes with the palette that will be used for sort of petty cash tooling, etc. So yeah, we've made quite a few changes to the flow. We've taken everyone's advice on board. The plan is to send version 2 out tomorrow, and then we have Twitter Spaces next week on Monday and Wednesday. We might do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They've been pretty well attended. We've had up to like 40 people coming in and giving feedback. So it seems like what we're putting together really is the voice of the community. That's what the manifesto is signed as. So I hope that we can keep that going, because that's genuinely what we're here to do. And the plan is to submit next Thursday, and alongside it submit or a few days later probably, so we can get more feedback from the community, because we've not sent out a draft yet, a big spender proposal, which will have a kind of a kickstart fund along with an interim operational committee. And should that all, there is the timelines in the rolling key doc. So if that all were to pass, December would be spent seeding. 40 would do a call for sort of 40, 50 people. We have to figure out that number, and then invite people from the ecosystem, all trying to get a good cross-section of sort of level ranks, and then they would be seeded in the program to start in January. And for Q1, we would sort of imitate the fragment system with the interim pot of money, and we can start onboarding immediately, but those first 40 people would be ready to go. The kind of the imitation fragment system would be ready for people to start their own specialist verticals. So that's the master plan. But the idea is that by the time we get to next Thursday, we won't be crossing our fingers that this will go through. I hope that like people will speak now. We're making all the changes that you guys are suggesting. Sean has been a huge inspiration, obviously, for this. I don't know if he wants to say anything, or Tommy as well has been working very closely with me on this. Limo has as well, but I know he's on his holidays. No? Does anyone have any questions or?
So on the timeline there, okay, so there's this big spender proposal, so over $1 million of assets. No?
No. So we will hope to keep it quite small. So it's going to be obviously 3 months, and we need to figure out the numbers, and we need to figure out the numbers with you guys. So we intend to put something out probably on Monday. Say we had an operating committee of 5 people who are committed full time to working for 3 months with very clear KPIs to make this work. And
okay, all good. So it might not be a big spender, though. It might not be.
Yeah. So have I just cocked up? I've got so good at Open Gov. Medium spender, then it's under $1 million.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well under $1 million. Like we'd hope to ask for maybe, I don't know, 200-300K max.
Yeah.
For a whole quarter. Yeah, we're not looking. No.
Okay.
No, we're looking. Yeah.
USDT, by the way, USDC is a little
guys.
tight. Hey.
Yeah.
USDC is a little tight, eh? So USDT.
Yeah.
Probably? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then who would be the beneficiary of that amount?
So the palette, Sean would probably be better explaining this, but the ambassador, the sub treasury. So we already have the palette there. It's already made, and it comes with a treasury. So thanks, Hope. Yeah. So we would be removed. This is just expecting, obviously, the referendum to remove us, and if not, I guess we would automatically move. But we would keep the palette, and it would go into that sub treasury.
Oh, you're going to keep the existing ambassador collective.
So essentially, it's already built, and it doesn't take many modifications to turn it into what we would need for this. And it would only be which is why we wouldn't have too much of a halt in getting it back up off the ground. Sean, do you want to explain a little bit of this? Because maybe it's not.
Well, I don't know about the sub-treasury thing. I mean, I just mentioned in chat that if you guys need some, I think it makes sense to have some temporary funding to like just get things off the ground. Like people are doing stuff. I think doing a multi-sig is probably fine for that. Like, I mean, you guys know who would be in that group anyway. I don't see why you need to attach it to like the old palette. But I have nothing specific about that aspect.
Okay.
Okay. But when we discuss the sort of the tech in terms of, because I know Jay's been concerned about like the speed of this and building a whole new thing again, in terms of what's already built, it can be relatively easily modified.
Yeah, I mean, so at a high level, this and what I saw from this whole thing is that, you know, the fellowship is something that in general, not the fellowship, sorry, the ambassador program should be something that's not tied to funding. You know, anyone should be an ambassador. People should feel free to be an ambassador and go up the ranks as an ambassador without feeling they need to like request money. And also, people who are low ranked ambassadors might need more money because they're new to the ecosystem, but they're like huge CEOs, they're huge investors, whatever. Same with that. The high level ambassador might not need a lot of money, right? So separating the two makes a lot of sense. In terms of funding, the ambassadors in the program, they're people who want to do like full-time roles, or even people who want to do like, you know, reward-based systems. The treasury exists. The treasury has the ability to fund anyone, and everyone has every account. But to make things a little bit easier, there's a idea of this optimistic funding, which could provide small amounts, like relatively small amounts of funding in a reoccurring way. And then everything else can be handled with existing primitives. Like if for example, the one of the groups inside of the ambassador program, by the way, the ambassador program is not like a top-down system. It's a rank-based, anyone can do anything. Some people can coalesce themselves into groups. If one of those groups wants to get funding to do more like professional work, like, you know, hire people like, you know, full-time, they can make themselves a multi-sig or a bounty or whatever, request for funding there and distribute funds from there, right? There's no need to do that. But it's really keeping things loose and flexible and not applying a bunch of rules or organizational stuff to things that don't need it.
Cool. Okay, yeah. Sorry, Luce, we're at 8 minutes. 8 minutes there. Did you want to wrap it up?
Yeah. So I was just going to say, resilience is obviously the key here, and that's what we're running with. So the decoupling. So although the palette might be same as in terms of the technologies there, it doesn't have anything to do with salaries. Ranks and salaries are completely separate. But yeah, so please take a look if you haven't already. Draft version 2 will go on the forum tomorrow, and yeah, let's try and get this over the line by the 31st. Your name will go on it if you and I hear I might be getting this in front of some important people. So yeah, please do take a look just in case this goes well. It'd be good to have input. Cheers.
Cool. Okay, well, it'd be cool to see a timeline on this because you are going to open a new collective on chain eventually.
Yes, it'll be a new collective on chain.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just kind of reusing what's already there a little bit. It doesn't have to be built from scratch. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have.
No, but just clarifying, a new collective versus Giotto's old collective. Giotto's,
yes,
because these are still happening in parallel.
Yeah, completely. Yeah,
cool.
An ambassador fellowship, and here's the timeline.
Sweet. Oh, there's the timeline.
I'll put it in here.
Little timeline. Let's see if we can get this up here. Okay, cool. All right, Lucy, thank you for coming on and keeping us informed.
Cheers.
Jose, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I want to say, I forgot again, but let me see if I can remember. I want to see how can we get the voice of this ambassadorship out so more people can get involved. You know, 40 to 50 ambassadors are great, right? But we wanna grow that bigger, right? So is you know what's there for them, right? How are we reaching them?
Okay, so we're looking. The plan is to have as many ambassadors as Polkadot needs / is humanly possible. The initial seeding would just be to get the program started and to sort of fill the ranks rather than zero, because most people will come. Ambassadors that we onboard will start at 0 and climb up the ranks. So this is just to start to fill, and we wouldn't expect to seed up to the top 2 ranks, for example, we'd expect to seed maybe the first 3 or 4, so that everybody has something to aim for. And we're expecting the top rank to be the sort of, speaking on stage at Token 2049 kind of Polkadot leadership level. And well, I'm definitely not there. So I would, we're expecting to put people kind of between 1 to 3, 1 to 4, and then it will be open from day one for anyone to apply. And in order to become an ambassador, all you need to do is open a wallet, verify your identity, and lock 1 dot. And there'll be a process being added to the manifesto to explain how you do that. And then it'll be our job as people already in the system to try and get those people energized to move up the ranks.
All right. I see you guys are softening on the demotion aspect. Good to see. We'll get there.
Yeah, definitely for the higher ranks, because we're now doing like a tier system. So there's the learning and development tier is the first 2 ranks, and we think that should be as it is. I don't think we should be demoting anyone who's kind of learning, but as soon as you get more into the externally facing kind of those sorts of roles, then yes, we're putting something in there. Yeah, so that'll be in version 2.
Okay, Felix, we want to move on, but do you have something extremely quick to say?
Yeah, in the context with Ambassador's program, most remarkable one, it moves away from referenda 487 back then, more back to community-centric and less gladiator, business development, fight yourself. So while taking a lot of innovations, what happened since Ambassador's program already kicked off. So
cool.
It's important. Yes, thanks.
Thank you. Lucy, thanks again. Okay, let's take a quick look at some refs on the go that we've discussed recently. You had the folks from Talisman in last week for 690.6 thousand USDT. This is sailing through with 96.3% in favor, although fairly low voter turnout. The Mandala delivery of 4 government use cases has had a turnaround here, now at 82.5% in favor, and looking for confirmation soon. The Florida Blockchain Association, James's second and 2 of 4 proposals active right now for 50,000 USDT, is doing well with 88.3% in favor. Chaos DAO carrying that one through. And Jakob from Hydration's proposal to unify Polkadot ecosystem address format is going extremely well, 99.4% in favor. Just quick note, I mean, where are these decentralized voices? Because the actual dots participating in governance right now is pretty low. And basically, we have Giotto active on some proposals, but otherwise Chaos DAO is more or less deciding a lot of these refs here. So that's kind of interesting to see. And I guess we'll just keep on waiting to see what happens with DV. Right now, confirming, we have the Marketing Bounty 2.0. It's in sudden death right now, but would need 47 million votes on the nay side to bring it down. This is going to finish confirmation in just under 2 days, which is going to kick off that huge marketing bounty for 200,000 DOT per month. We also have the SQD, the SubSquid indexing infrastructure proposal, 47,600 DOT. This is in confirmation period with just under 3 days to go. And the final confirming ref this week is to close the Wasm Smart Contracts bounty. So when a bounty doesn't seem to be doing much besides paying the curators, we always have the option to challenge them by threatening to shut it down. We did get some movement from the curators, throwing up some plans to push the bounty forward, but it doesn't seem to be enough to convince token holders not to shut her down and claw back those dots back to the treasury. So this is looking to confirm just in a few days, and actually 2.5 days, and that will close Bounty 19. So that was a pretty awesome show. Did anybody else want to say something before we wrap it up? Eric, what the heck is happening on the Polkadot channel? 34,300 people stopped by to watch us jabber about governance this week. What's going on?
I'm just sitting here around. I can tell you that. My colleague's doing the work probably.
Your colleagues doing the work? Yeah, nice. That's awesome. By the way, it was nice to see the Polkadot account embed Angie's video this week on the main Polkadot account, the Web3 Thinkers episode. That was awesome, Angie.
Thank you.
You-
Thank you for embedding my video too.
And you know, we cut each one down to clips. It was hard to decide. We had too many clips to choose from this ep. So we're going to keep rolling those out. And if you haven't seen it yet, check it out. I think we're going to have Nick on the next one on Web3 Builders.
Looking forward to it.
That's a tough
Do
one.
you
to-
have also a lot of clips to choose, or is it just one?
Haven't got to the clips yet. It's a tough act to follow, but I'm sure you're going to do great.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Jose, what did you want to say?
Yeah, I have a question. Do we have enabled like the milestone payments in Polkadot with vested coins or unvested coins, basically? Is that such a thing there, Sean, or I don't know?
Okay.
Can we use that tool because we need it? I mean, people will, they will put a proposal once. We don't want them to come here 3 times for some funding, but we want to be able to log them out if they're not delivering through milestone. So is that in place, or are we still working on that?
There are ways currently to do vested transfers and to make vesting things, but it's probably not as clean as we would want. I was working on a PR that would add vested transfers from the treasury, but I think to do that we would need to basically create like a dot specific treasury, which is an idea I think that I would support anyway. But it is there. It's not super straightforward. Again, the one of the things I realized, or one of the things I think we should all realize, is that people just use Polkadot just as it was written in the back end, which is really bad. Like, I mean, these front end guys don't often put enough thought into making nice experiences for Polkadot or the things that we actually want. Treasury has a way to just send money, so every single button and every single click just spends that money directly, right? We do have ways to do this thing, but we need support from UIs and other platforms to actually use Polkadot in the way that we want. So anyway, I'm thinking in the end, probably we should add a vested transfer or vested spend from the Treasury palette itself.
Cool stuff. Alrighty. Thanks everybody for joining the show. We're going to take the Coos to Miami to see, first of all, the opening playoff game between Inter Miami and Atlanta. That's going to be pretty cool. We're also going to be doing our first draw for our jersey and signed jersey and hat giveaway and all this stuff like that. That's going to be sweet. On Saturday, we're going to be checking out Connor Daly's last Polkadot sponsored race in the Polkadot / play car. Should be pretty epic. And I am, well, looks like I'm going to do a Space Monkeys with Paul from VBricks, which is going to be pretty cool. That opportunity that came through the Connor Daly sponsorship program. So big weekend ahead on the Coos. Make sure you follow us over there. And once again, thanks to everybody on the panel. And we'll see y'all next week. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Thank you so much, Jay. Bye-bye.
Cheers.